All right, episode 138 of RickCast coming at you on this beautiful Friday evening. I hope you're all out enjoying the beautiful nature and summer. Maybe you're on a pontoon boat somewhere. Maybe you're just hanging out the house, cracking open, a shiner if you're here in Texas, a nice shiner bock, something nice. It's Friday. You earned it. We're going to have a good show here on RickCast. And we had some important stuff. So SCOTUS ended its term today, essentially, is for lack of a better term. And they just drop everything. They usually leak some stuff the final week, and then on the last day of their term, they just drop everything. It's like a news drop, and it's great for people in the middle of summer because it gives them stuff to talk about. And of course, this day is notable for a lot of things. 10 years ago, Obergefell overrode 33 state constitutions and ensured that same-sex attracted people could have a mirage, as I like to call it. It's not really a marriage. It is a mirage. So stuff like that has been known to happen on days like this. And today we got some pretty important stuff, some pretty interesting things happening. The big one is the Birthright Citizenship Decision. And because if you're going to look at this from a policy standpoint, if you're looking at this from an immigration standpoint, if you're looking at the birthright citizenship has got to be the most important thing you get nailed down, because if you do everything else and you still allow birthright citizenship, then people are still going to come here. You get rid of birthright citizenship, you remove a huge incentive for people who actually want to come here. So it's good. I think it's good. So it looks like the court ruled that lower courts couldn't get in the way while they figure it out. And then you had a bunch of other decisions come down. We'll talk about them a little bit. But there was one case, and it's not even the case people care about. It's the fact that Amy Coney Barrett pretty much went nuclear on Justice Jackson. I guess the two of them are fighting now. They were besties before, but I don't think they are now because she went full burn book on this girl and just absolutely smoked her from orbit, which was very interesting to read. And then we're going to talk about Doge, Department of Governmental Efficiency, entering the ATF with a supposed purpose to slash gun regulations. This is on the same day that the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act, which is the removal of short barreled rifles, those got stripped last night by the Senate parliamentarian. I know how to say it, parliamentarian. And the unelected bureaucrat that's a Democrat. She's been there for 13 years. So we got some bad news and we got some potentially good news about Doge going into the ATF. And then finally, I'll give you my F1 review. If you haven't checked it out on RickCast Reviews, you can check it out there, the full one. I'll talk about it a little bit here, and then I'll give you the box office preview, and then I will release you onto the weekend for you to have some fun. On this beautiful day, the solemnity of the Sacred Heart of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Great day. Yeah, it's just a great day because of that. So I hope everybody is enjoying that as well. Do me a favor, if you're watching live or in the replay, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to help the show kind of reach out to more people. And we'll talk about that. So we've covered that extensively, especially earlier in the week. So Mike Lee is on this thing right now where he has said he wants to sell, I think it's like 3.3 million acres of federal land in order to establish more affordable housing and to help pay down the debt. These were the things that he came out with, these sorry excuses. Like, oh, we're going to pay down the debt and we're going to do all these things. It's like, nah, you're not going to do any of that stuff. You're not going to do any of that stuff because people saw right through it to begin with. Because the idea is this is not 1952. If this was 1952, you would have been able to sell that federal land to families. It would have been more affordable at that time. Now it's going to go to either BlackRock, Vanguard, or like Glenn Beck's company, because Glenn Beck owns a real estate agency, Real Estate Agents I Trust. And the idea is that he's going to, the Mormons are essentially going to sell it so the Mormons can own more land in Utah. Because Mike Lee's a Mormon, and so is Glenn Beck, and so have all those guys. So you got to think about that kind of stuff. And that's the thing. That another thing is that Mike Lee has been big on H-1Bs, and that it would be, you'd sell that federal land and it would be bulldozed and you'd put up cheap Mickey Mouse apartments for H-1B visas. So you're right. It would be sold. Right now, a lot of that land, that forest preserve, and, they're not national parks per se, but they're just federal land, Bureau of Land Management. And people go out there all the time, especially in the RV community. They boondock a lot out in those places. If you're in the western part of these United States, you can drive onto BLM land and just boondock there because it's public land. So those are big things on the East Coast, on the West Coast, and the hunting. A lot of ranchers use those lands for grazing, like the Bundy situation. I think it happened 10 years ago. The Bundy Ranch, all that kind of stuff. So hunters, the 2A community, hikers, outdoorsmen, we all kind of locked arms on this one. Both left and right. We're just like, Mike Lee, you suck on this one. You can't do it. So he's retreated a little bit, and he says he's going to rewrite it, but he's got some pretty big personalities that have sniffed this out, and they're going after it. So we'll see what happens. But will hopefully we can keep enough pressure on him to keep him from doing it, because nobody wants this. Because there's plenty of places that you can rebuild. And he keeps saying, oh, what about affordable housing? Why don't you go to West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas? There's tons of small ghost towns that barely have anybody in there. If you want to flood them, I wouldn't flood them with immigrants, but if you're looking for affordable housing, all those places can be rebuilt. You don't need to bulldoze beautiful protected land to do that. Now, I'm not a huge fan of, the federal government holding on to those things, but at this point, it's actually the safest place for it to be. I wouldn't even, and I know some people might get crossways with some people, but I wouldn't sell it to the state, because the state would then have an interest in, state politicians getting bought out by a BlackRock or a Vanguard for the highest bidder, and that they'd sell it out. So right now, as crazy as it is, as anti-government, anything as I am, I actually support the idea of the feds owning it, the feds protecting it, because I think there's too much money involved for anything else. And that's why I've lent my voice to it, as tiny as it is, to bring awareness to more people. A lot more, public figures have been pushing back on this. And I think we need to continue to do so, because Mike Lee will sell it out, because he's I don't trust any politician. I don't trust any of them. No matter how much I like them, I don't trust them. I like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie. I don't trust them, because they're politicians. No politician should ever be trusted. And that goes local, state, and federal. Because they're all doing it. They're all doing it at whatever level for some kind of access to power. If I ever run for government, that should be the first question somebody asks me. What about the fact that you don't trust politicians? And I'll give you my answer then. Yeah, I would run for office. Nobody ever asked me to run for office, but I would. Better than, you'd rather have me than somebody else. Anyway, let's see here. So yes, that's a good question. I mean, the idea, what we're doing at this point, let's see if I can find a, let's see, federal land in Utah. Here we go. I'm just trying to check, see right now, what's the latest on that. So I know Sean Ryan, the podcaster, he's done a podcast with a guy named Braxton McCoy. He's very big on X. They're pushing back on it as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. So right now it's kind of up in the air. It was stripped by the same Senate parliamentarian. I can't say their name because I'm stupid. The person that stripped the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act also stripped the land bill out as well. So he's trying to. I'm probably gonna watch that video tonight, that Sean Ryan video tonight. So Mike Lee's got to get 60 votes to overcome it. And Montana and Idaho and Montana and Wyoming, and I think Idaho, the senators from those states have come out and said, yeah, we're not voting to do this, Mike. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So it's good. I'm glad people brought attention to it. I'm glad it was made aware. And I think it's something that needed to be done. And it just shows the power of a platform like X and social media to give constituents a voice, to give them. Yeah, you shouldn't be like the Ohio, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, even Utah, the Mormons, even Colorado's like, yeah, no, we're not down with this either. The thing about the western part of the United States, it's the last real piece of aesthetic that we have. We've lost major cities, right? We've lost the aesthetic of the American city. We're even losing the suburban aesthetic of America. But what we have left is the plateaus and the wide open spaces that made us the envy of the world. And I think it's worth fighting for. I mean, Texas, we sold it all out to private land, and it's not going well for us here because people are selling it off for the highest bidder so they can bulldoze it and put strip malls. I kind of wish some of Texas was federal. federally protected, because a lot of it's going to be, turned into strip malls and stuff, because people are going to always sell out into their own interests. It's just a natural thing. People are selfish by nature, right? People are selfish by nature, and I don't fault them for it. But at the same time, if people can step up and stop it, then that's the natural course of things. So yeah, I'll probably watch that Sean Ryan episode after this. After you're done watching RickCast, obviously. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Let's get to our show for this beautiful Friday evening. Get to the things that we're going to talk about. Let's see here. No, we don't want to talk about that. We don't. Yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is a 1-year anniversary of Joe Biden getting smoked in that debate. And that was when I was up in New York for the Catholic land movement. Great time. That was a great time. I appreciate being up there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first story of the day. I got 2 warm-up acts. This is proof that asylum seekers or whatever need to all go. In an episode of John Wick Comes to Life, Egyptian smuggler deported after kicking CBP Beagle at Dulles Airport. I thought the custom border protection dogs were law enforcement, so that guy should have been shot. Hamed Rahman Bayuma Al-Mari, a 70-year-old man from Egypt, admitted to kicking Freddie, a customs and border protection beagle, during an incident earlier this week at the airport serving Washington, D.C. He should have been shot. So you can't kick law enforcement, and apparently Freddie is law enforcement, and I would be all for it. You value a dog's life? Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry the Muslims don't like dogs, but we love dogs in America. Sorry. It's just a fact. The assault took place after Freddie identified more than 100 pounds of undeclared and banned agricultural items hidden in Marie's baggage coming from Cairo. Officials stated that Marie kicked Freddie so forcefully that the 25-pound dog was lifted off the ground and later treated for contusions in his right front rib. Yeah, shoot this friggin' guy. Shoot this guy on the spot. I like hot dogs too. Hey, it's 4th of July week, baby. Hot dogs every day. Brian, go for it. This dude should have been shot on the spot. Christine Wall, CBP's Washington area port director, stated that the hammering any member of their team affects them all, or harming. Marie was sentenced to time served, ordered to pay $840, and then deported to Egypt. I hope when they deport him, they drop him out of the plane. I hope they just drop him out. They don't even stop. Boop, just kick him out. Have fun, buddy. Kick him out of the plane like he kicks Freddie the dog. I'm all over this, man. Do not kick the dogs. Don't. We have 4 films that will show you what happens if you harm dogs. We'll friggin' kill you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next story. Dogs are God made dogs as our ride or dies for a reason. And if you harm said dog, you will die. Anyway, let's see. I had another. Did I have another one? No, I didn't. Let's get to our first story of the day. That's a very good point, Cesar. That's why it's 4th of July week. So you can have hot dogs all the way up to Friday. That's a good, how many Catholics do you think, Cesar, are going to complain on Friday and ask for a dispensation from their bishop? Oh, can we get a dispensation so we can eat cheeseburgers on Friday? Because American Catholics are so weak and frail that they're going to bitch and moan that they can't have hot dogs on Friday. Give me a break. Just get drunk like a real American. So yeah. It's just ridiculous. Oh yeah. There's the talk about it's the Solemnity of the Sacred Heart. I believe it's the Feast of the Sacred Heart or the Solemnity of the Sacred Heart. You guys will correct me in the chat. Can I eat meat today? Have a pizza like a normal Catholic, right? Have pasta like a normal Catholic. Have fish. The fact that, Americans want to Deus Vult, and we talk about crusading and all these other things, but you ask them to not eat a cheeseburger on a Friday, and they crumple like a 12-year-old girl that just got rejected at the high school day. Well, she's like a high school girl got rejected for prom. You can't have me. Oh, so terrible. Oh, we're so persecuted. Lord, how have you forsaken me? Get a grip, man. Right? Mahi mahi, baby. Get after it. Up in Rhode Island, just clam cakes, where you take the clam and you dip it in fry. You take a clam, you wrap it in dough, and you just fry it. And it's so good. I love clam cakes. I can eat clam cakes forever. So yeah, be a man, or be a good Catholic man or woman, and just don't eat meat today. It's not Lent. Shut up. Just shut up. You don't have to eat meat one day of the week. Be a tough guy. Crazy. Oh, dude, clam cakes are legit. There's not a lot of clam. There's this company called Blue Oyster, or Good Foods, or Good Eats, Good Belly, and I have them. You can order food from Rhode Island. You can order food from anywhere in the country from Good Bellies, and they'll flash freeze it and ship it to you. And I have a couple times a year, my wife and I will flash freeze some stuffies and some clam cakes from Rhode Island. We do it actually for Christmas. We have our Christmas meal. We have clam cakes, stuffies, and some calamari from Rhode Island. We have a flash frozen and sent down here. And oh boy, is it so good. Right? I mean, so many options too. And you tell a Catholic they can't have like a steak on a Friday. They act like you just put the nail through the cross. I was at a conference not too long ago, and there was a deacon at the conference, and we went to the steakhouse, but it was one of these it was a Japanese hibachi. And you go to the hibachi, you can do rice, shrimp and rice. You can do all these things, sushi. And this deacon ordered a friggin' New York strip steak. Now, of course, it wasn't Lent. And the guy who hosted the conference, Jay, a buddy of mine, Jason, was like, Deacon, we come to this restaurant because it has fish options. And the deacon was like, so? Okay. Okay. But yeah, that's enjoy your beers, Brian. I hope they are tasty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our first story of the night. So SCOTUS limits judges' powers to halt Trump's birthright citizenship order. I'm not going to explain things, so I'm going to let Fox News do it.
Okay, yes. So this is at least a partial, if not a full, and we're reading this because there are several concurrences here, but it's written by Justice Barrett, which goes against the ruling that I just gave the guidance because she's one of the least junior justices, but she was assigned to write this opinion. And essentially what she says some say that the universal injunctions give the judiciary a powerful tool to check the executive branch, but she says federal courts do not exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given to them. When a court concludes the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power, sounding very much like they are limiting these injunctions. We know here that they have granted at least partially the stay to these preliminary injunctions, but they say only to the extent that the injunctions are broader than necessary to provide complete relief to each plaintiff withstanding to sue. They say the lower courts have to move expeditiously with respect to each of these plaintiffs. It says the injunctions are also stayed to the extent that they prohibit executive agencies from developing and issuing public guidance about the executive plans to implement the executive order. If you remember, part of this executive order on birthright citizenship, the stay was that the agencies that would be responsible for actually implementing the change with birthright citizenship, those agencies couldn't even start making a plan. So that part of it is lifted as well. We do see that the dissent here comes from the three Justice, as you expect, it looks like Justice Sotomayor filed the dissent. Kagan and Jackson joined that. Justice Jackson also filed a dissenting opinion, but there are a lot of concurrences here. Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, there are others. We'll parse through this, but at its first blush, it looks like this is a win in putting a limit on these nationwide injunctions. We'll see how far those limits go as we dig back through this.
Got it. Want to bring Jonathan Turley back in. Shannon, thank you. So, Jonathan, it sounds like this is kind of what you were mentioning.
Of course, then you had Donnie T step up.
Green light for your agenda going forward.
Well, you'd have to really speak to the lawyers about that. But this is really also a decision based on common sense. It didn't work the other way. It was a disaster where somebody from a certain location in a very liberal state or a liberal judge or a liberal group of judges could tie up a whole country for years because their decision would sometimes take years to overturn. We've overturned many of the decisions, but it would take years to do it. And we have to act quickly when it comes to illegal immigration. We have murderers, killers, we have drug dealers, we have what they've allowed to come into our country. It should never be forgotten. It should never be forgotten what they've done to our country. And we have to be able to act very quickly, and we're going to do that. Thank you.
Justice Amy Coney Barrett, sir, I know that you praised her and her opinion here in this case. She has some heat, though, from some supporters who have labeled her weak, a squishy, a rattled law professor. What is your take on that?
I don't know about that. I just have great respect for her. I always have. And her decision was brilliantly written today from all accounts.
So yeah, she's everybody loves ACB again because of the opinion. And I get it, that's fine. So just to kind of summarize this up, last week the US Supreme Court in a 6-3 decision limited justices' authority to issue nationwide injunctions, following district courts in Maryland, Massachusetts, and Washington issuing such nationwide injunctions. Trump administration appealed urgently, arguing such a broad ruling exceeded it. Now, it was a big deal because it's part of the lawfare where, Trump or something comes out that they don't like, they run to some justice in Boston or in LA or in Seattle or something like that. And that district judge who's going to be left leaning is going to issue in favor of the liberals who filed the injunction. And so it was just because the courts have gone so far off the rail. They're nothing more than another political arm. There's nothing neutral. There's nothing at all. They're not doing their job. Because the expanse of their job, their job has been expanded out to that way anyway. And Justice Barrett reasoned that universal injunctions likely exceed Congress's authority, lacking historical basis in the Judiciary Act of 1789 and only partial stays of broader injunctions. Following the ruling, the Birthright Citizenship order takes effect in 28 states, not challenging it, ending automatic citizenship for children of undocumented or illegal aliens in those areas. And then Justice Sotomayor, complained because she's a left-wing nut job. And the fact is, it is absolutely important. And I don't like to be big political on these kinds of things or make big statements. But if there's one thing you want to happen here, you desperately want birthright citizenship to end. You desperately want it to end because if you can get rid of birthright citizenship, then you take away the primary reason for coming here for most people. Well, Rick, what do you mean? I thought it was economics. No, most people will come here and either try to get a woman pregnant or, they'll either be pregnant or get pregnant. And then all of a sudden they have a child who's a citizen and then they can't be deported because of chain migration. If you can get rid of a terrible ruling, by the way, as Mike Church would call it, got to give him credit where credit's due, the miracle amendment, the 14th Amendment. If you can get rid of the language or redefine the 14th Amendment for what it was, which was granting slaves citizenship post-Civil War. Yeah, if you can get rid of the anchor babies, then you can pretty much destroy any real reason for people to come here or even be here. And so that's why if you're into these broad things and this idea, if there's one thing that has to be done in this term, it has to be the birthright citizenship question. It is vitally the most important question out there. If they can get that redefined correctly, and of course, liberals are like, oh, it's such an injustice. Shut up, you bunch of dingbats. You don't know what you're talking about. Or maybe you do, and you're just lying because that's all you do. So that's the biggest news that came out there. Texas got a decision that people are very happy about as far as, where is that? There's another opinion that there's another decision that dropped today. And it's a First Amendment decision. This is from SCOTUS blog. I don't have it up. The Supreme Court on Friday upheld a ruling by a federal appeals court that allows Texas to enforce a state law requiring adult entertainment sites to verify the age of their users before providing access. The vote was 6-3 once again because liberal women are liberal women. And the justices ruled that the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit should have used a more stringent standard of review known as intermediate scrutiny to determine whether Texas law passes constitutional muster. But Justice Clarence Thomas, writing for the majority, the Texas law passes that test, saying, quote, the power to require age verification is within a state's authority to prevent children from accessing sexually explicit content. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the state can mandate ages for anything else. So why couldn't they mandate an age for this? So that was another big decision that came down today from that, as well as if you're big into this one. Let me get this up there so you're not looking at my ugly face the whole time. Yeah, at least I have something else to look at. So yeah, you can tell that was a very important one to Justice Thomas, being a Catholic, trying to protect children from getting access to things that will destroy their immortal soul. That's a big win. Anyway, this is another one. Court allows parents to opt their children out of school lessons involving LGBTQ silent P themes. The Supreme Court on Friday ruled that a group of Maryland parents have the right to opt out of their elementary school age children out of instructions that include LGBTP themes. The vote was 6-3 again, so the liberal justices just went really super liberal on them. They agreed with the parents who are Muslim, Catholic, and Ukraine Orthodox. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Oh, go get it. You know, at least in this case, if Muslims and Catholics can shake hands and be like, we need to destroy the the same sexers, then all right, we'll deal with each other later. That the Montgomery County School Board's refusal to provide them with that option violates their constitutional right to freely exercise their religion. The reason why this case got upheld was because of the Muslims. Let's just be real. If it was Catholics and Orthodox, they would have struck it down. But no court will ever, because they're a bunch of cowards, no court will ever go against Muslims. They'll never do it. They just can't. So they won't. So that's kind of why that one probably got what it was ready to do. So if you're a quote unquote conservative, you got 4 decisions today that were pretty good. If you look at it, you had the birthright citizenship thing, you had the children being allowed, or children being able to opt out of perverse materials, and then you had the Texas law, which will be precedent for other states, saying, yeah, you can require age verification for access to things that are not healthy for you. So a win for all, it was a very good SCOTUS session. For if you are a conservative, I would say they are having a bad day, because usually the way it goes, now I may be wrong. I rarely am, but usually SCOTUS kind of goes back and forth. Right? I mean, nobody really talked about this one. Justices reject challenge to structure of HA's task force that supported providing coverage for HIV medication. I don't even know what this one's about. But this was a 6-3 vote again. So, I mean, this went down party lines all day for almost every single decision. And I think the court is starting to get a little bit more political, in a sense that I think the appointing of Jackson Kengia Brown Jackson has really set everybody else off. And that's going to lead us to our second story, because people are just like, wow, you are stupid. And it's not her fault. She was asked for the position, and anybody who's asked would accept it. But the fact of the matter is, people are just like, you are dumb. You are so dumb that Amy Coney Barrett, pretty much, as we've been saying, nuked her from orbit. She openly mocked. Amy Coney Barrett, who we've all been making fun of, openly mocked Kengia, whatever her name is, KBJ, in a way that is unprecedented, according to Siege S. Mondano. He's a Catholic on X. The rest of SCOTUS justices have just had enough of her contemptible incompetence, and then that's manifested to all but her. Because Barrett rips her apart on this with statements such as this in her, as Sean Davis writes, in her majority opinion for the Supreme Court nuking universal injunctions, Justice Amy Coney Barrett juked KBJ from orbit. Quote, "We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument. She calls her out by name. She calls her out by, usually they're more coy, and they would say something along the lines of, well, we don't agree with other members of the court's opinions on these things. No, Amy Coney Barrett went full Mean Girls burn book on this woman. Like, she put her name in the burn book and absolutely smoked her like a fine cigar. And just shows you, women are just spiteful. Women are just spiteful, and they don't work well together. Anyway, we will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this: Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. Essentially, what she's saying is Justice Jackson doesn't like the idea of a supreme, a tyrannical president, but she loves the idea of a tyrannical judiciary. And the only reason that Justice Jackson wants a tyrannical judiciary is because Orange Man bad. So essentially, Amy Coney Barrett is saying, Justice Jackson, you are too short-sighted to realize that you ruling in favor of a tyrannical judiciary will hamstring presidents down the line. And that includes Democratic presidents down the line, you nitwit. So I know, and that's why people are like, did the notorious ABC just do a Hulk Hogan style heel turn? Right? The biggest heel turn in the history of wrestling is when Hulk Hogan went to the NWO. Is this the second biggest heel turn ever? Where the left was starting to embrace Amy Coney Barrett as a centrist and all these other things. And she's just like, you know what? Boom. And just she gave her the big boot and the leg drop on top of this stuff. And people are just going, that is crazy. What are you doing, Amy Coney Barrett? And if you really want to read it, I'll drop the opinion in the chat if you want some reading tonight. So there you go. No, not that one. That one. Take a look at it. That's the actual reading, the Supreme Court of these United States. Not that I think SCOTUS would have that much authority or that much power, but unfortunately, as of right now, they do. So we saw all that. We've seen all this. They're private, except when I show them to all you guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this effort follows plans to cut nearly 2/3 of ATF inspections. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one. The majority opinion included Roberts, Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh. So it's what we can talk about today is the fact that I'd like to see ACB retire from the court and go be a mom. She's more valuable there than on the court, to be completely honest. But what we saw, at least from a very limited opinion here, is the justices lining up along ideological lines. And I think that's going to continue going forward because it seems like the liberal justices have just hammered the conservatives enough that they're like, you know what, we're done. We've tried to, because all the way back, remember Kennedy and RGB, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Thomas, they all talked about the fact that they were all really friendly and they all got along well. And they all kind of played this game like, all right, we'll give the conservatives this one and we'll give the liberals this one. I guess Brown and Sotomayor and Kagan are just nagging the crap out of the five guys that they're like, nah, we're not doing this. Okay. Nope, we're not doing this. I'm ruling against you. See ya. That'd be hysterical if that was the case. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next story. I know, I thought it was done too, but Elon has left Doge, but Doge is apparently still, because Elon didn't start it, Trump did by executive order. It's still a branch of the executive government. And now, apparently, it is going in to the ATF with a mandate to slash gun regulations. Can we just get this over with and slash the Hearing Protection Act, which is suppressors? Can we get suppressors off? I've already built out my gun. I've already built out a gun that I'm going to buy an outfit as soon as they do this. Okay? I've already got it planned. So I don't like to do this and then have to stop. So y'all need to figure this out and get it fixed so I can buy the gun I want to buy. That's all that's really matters. I got the suppressor picked out. I got the brace picked out. I got the gun picked out. I got the optic picked. I got it all ready to go. So just get your act together. Anyway, a government office focused on efficiency is collaborating with ATF officials to modify more than 50 firearm regulations by July 4th, 2025. So, oh yeah, it's a pretty sweet looking gun too. I'm pretty pumped about it. Anyway, because like I said, I already talked. It's a pistol caliber carbine. I'm a pistol caliber carbine guy. It's a Ruger PC Charger. If you know what a Ruger PC Charger is, a 9mm pistol caliber carbine. I'm a Ruger guy. It is what it is. Say whatever you want. I'm a boomer. Blah blah blah. Don't care. I love Ruger. It's that simple. Anyway, so by July 4th, 2025, so that's like 10 days. Not even. That's like 2 weeks. This effort follows a plan to cut nearly 2/3 of the ATF inspectors and that's 5 days and slash the agency's budget amid pressures from some Republicans to abolish it. That's what we need to do. The ATF just needs to go away. Go away. You're a big Smith & Wesson guy? Yeah. Smith & Wesson is great. You'll love this. I'm actually 5th cousins of Daniel Wesson. Yeah. I'm 5th cousins of Daniel Wesson, and I'm 6th cousin of Winchester, of Oliver Winchester. So I don't get Smith & Wesson guns or Winchester stuff or any of that other kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually like the M&P. I just never got into it. The Smith & Wesson M&P, especially the 2.0 and the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0, the 2.0 Bodyguard in 380 is really nice. It's better. It's better than the LCP2, which is the one I have. I have a Ruger LCP2. The Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 is a far superior firearm in 380 than the LCP2. It's slimmer, it's better, it shoots smoother. It's a great gun. The Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, great gun. The Smith & Wesson Sport AR-15, great entry-level AR-15. Even the Smith & Wesson carbine that they have, the one that opens sideways, the one that folds that you can open that runs M&P, I think it's great. As soon as I get the discount code, I'll let you know. I'm still waiting on that. I don't think it's coming anytime soon. Anyway, reports indicate roughly 541 of the 800 ATF inspectors would lose their jobs. Good, but not enough. Slash more, slash more, slash more. Get rid of them all. Fire all of them. The ATF is a tyrannical agency that exists to make your life and my life worse. They don't do anything. These changes suggest a broad shift to reduce regulatory burden on lawful gun owners, but also raised concerns about hampering. I don't care about hampering law enforcement, because guess what? Look at any video of, gang members in Chicago, Baltimore, LA, any of these places. They have no problems getting their hands on illegal firearms. The ATF has never, ever prevented illegal firearms from getting into hands of people. What they've done is they have been used to track down and harass lawful gun owners. That's all they're good for. They're not good for anything else. Because if the ATF was really about getting illegal firearms, they would literally, I think I just used that twice in the same sentence. Sorry. They would roll up in mass into the south side of Chicago every weekend and try to stop these young black men from slaughtering each other. If ATF ever gave a crap about saving people's lives, that's what they would do. They wouldn't run after FFLs and try to get them, or go after people because their pistol brace was not the correct size, or whatever the case may be. So the ATF is a crap organization that exists to be tyrannical to lawful citizens. And that's all I have to say about that. And I hope Doge cuts every single one of them. And I don't want to see any of them cry about losing their jobs, because they didn't cry when they put guns to the heads of lawful citizens and make them sign over their FFL because they didn't dot an I or cross a T, or confiscate entire collections of weapons because of one thing or another. So forget the ATF. I hope the ATF goes away, and you know what? Forget them. So go get them, Doge. I'm your biggest fan for the next 5 days. Go get them. Go get them. Slash it. Slash it. I got to get that clip. I got to get that Ron clip there. Yeah. You get a bonus Rick rant tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our last story of the night. A little entertainment news here. Box office preview, F1. I just saw it. I saw it earlier today. Let me give you, it's a hard recommend, like an absolute go see it. If you haven't been to the movie theaters and you're considering going to the movie theaters, go see F1. I think it's a fantastic film. It was directed by the same guy who directed Top Gun Maverick, Joseph Kosinski. And it was written by the same guy that wrote Top Gun Maverick. Brad Pitt's fantastic in it. Let me get to this. I know this is not great, but if you're looking for it, there's only a couple times our Lord's name is taken in vain. Take your golden arrow prayer. Say it when it happens. No sex. Nothing else offensive. I understand profanity against our Lord is offensive, but it's not used a lot. So I know that's not a great endorsement or a great line, but if you have your golden arrow prayer, you can pray for, the forgiveness of the blasphemies against our Lord. But as far as like nudity, sex, none of that. Not there. Not even any kind of adult themes or sexuality. Not there. Pretty solid film. It's a masculine film. It's kind of like in the same ways that Top Gun Maverick was a masculine film. It's a dude-centered film. And if you like those kinds of stories, if you liked Ford versus Ferrari, it's not the same, but it's kind of in the same vein of it, but the actual racing set pieces are amazing. The racing set pieces are just, I was in a small theater. The theater I go to is a tiny theater. It doesn't have IMAX. It doesn't have any of that kind of stuff. I was in a small theater, and I even was like, this is amazing. It's an actual film, because most films nowadays are CGI crap. They're just CGI garbage. And they could have easily made this film a CGI garbage flick. They really could have. They absolutely could have. But this film has real race cars on real tracks. They put the camera in the car. You feel it, and it's absolutely worth supporting filmmakers actually filming with authenticity. Brad Pitt's fantastic in it, plays the role well. If you understand the movie Shane, he's very much Shane in a racing movie. It's a Western archetype in a racing film. And like I said, I enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed it. I'll probably buy it when it comes out. I hope it makes all the money, and it looks like it's setting up to have a pretty decent opening weekend. Somewhere between 45 to 55 million, which would be fine. Because I hope it gets on the higher end range, because the movie has a budget of between 200 and 300 million. They're saying it's about $200 million. And the reason why it's so high is because they actually went into, as you can see here, right, actually using F1 tracks, filming during the Grand Prix, all these other kinds of things that need to be rewarded, because they could have made this movie for probably 85 million to 100 million if they just green screened everything. But they didn't. They took the time, they took the effort to do it. So I'm hoping that it gets into that 55 million range, or at least 50. So it's looking like that. And the problem is that racing movies don't do well. The only thing that F1 has going for it is that it is a worldwide film. Like, F1 is a worldwide sport. So it should do well in other countries. You should see some pretty decent returns, because this is a film that is respectful to the global nature of F1. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if I never saw the first Megan movie. It's apparently a horror film. It has a sequel. Big thing is there's a troon in it, right? I haven't seen, but I heard there's a troon in the Megan film. So we'll see how the blowback is against that. That one looks between 18 to 25. The only saving grace of Megan or these Blumhouse movies is that the budgets are tiny. Like, the budget of this Megan movie is $25 million. So if it makes 25 million plus, plus another, let's put another 15 on top of it. So what is that? $40 million total. These Blumhouse movies they don't cost that much money. So if it makes anywhere in this range between 18 to 25, it's going to make its money back. So we'll see how it goes. Now, of course, it could get absolutely smoked out by F1 and How to Train Your Dragon coming in on it's still doing pretty well. So also, the middle of summer sometimes is a good place for a horror movie. Most times it's not. Most people traditionally like their horror movies in September, the September through November 1st. That's when they want their horror movies. So releasing it in July is a weird attempt at maybe capitalizing on this, because sometimes there are people that really they Jones for the fall in the middle of summer, so they have the horror movie, they come out. The problem is, and the second reason why they do this, if they release it now, by the time the windows and everything close for VODs and stuff, it'll drop on streaming in September, and that's where they'll make their money back as well. I'm sure it's been sold off to a couple like Netflix and Tubi and a bunch of others to make its money back there. So we'll see how that goes. How to Train Your Dragon. What is this? Week 3, 16 to 20 million is not too bad of a hold. Now it's gotta, if it really wants to make its money back, how much? Total box office for 2025, How to Train Your Dragon. Let's see. The total box office on it right now is 376 million. That's what they're saying. They're saying 376 million right now, with 167 in the domestic gross. So that's okay. That's okay for all of that. But what is the budget? I know I've asked before. Budget of How to Train Your Dragon. Hold on, I gotta do the 2025 one because of course. So the budget on How to Train Your Dragon is 150 million. That's what they're saying. So if it's 150 million plus an extra 100 million, so it looks like it's already cleared its budget, which is strange. That's usually not all right. I mean, if it does, it does. That's fine. So we'll see if it does that. I mean, it of course it's going to need to make a little bit more to really clear profitability for this kind of stuff, but we'll see if it actually does that as well. But we'll take a look on Monday, guys, to see how it does. I hope F1 does well. If you are interested in going to the movies, this weekend's a good one. Go support F1. I think it's a great film. It's probably the best film of the summer. A lot of people are saying that F1's going to be the sleeper hit, and I hope it is because it's an actual film. It's got a story to tell. It's got practical effects. It has heart. It's a masculine film. It talks about stoicism and determination and all these other kinds of things that we used to strive to promote at other times. So, you know, it's the best film of the summer for me so far. Probably one of the best films I've seen this year. I haven't seen a ton, but it's probably the best one I've seen all year. All right, that's it for this episode of RickCast. Please do me a favor. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell on your way out. If you're watching in the replay, leave me a comment down below. What you like, what you didn't like, agree or disagree. Please let me know. You all be safe this weekend. Y'all enjoy this weekend. I'll talk to you all on Monday. God bless. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.